Welcome back. Again, we are talking about creating an abstract shape design. I created this for my last lesson of geometric circles. Remember, I asked you to create a design that shows movement, visual movement, that shows overlapping, cropping, and then good use of negative space. So we don't want to leave too much empty space. Again, put something in to divide the middle of your page and decide, is it balanced? Do you have elements on both sides? Hopefully that you do. It can be balanced symmetrically or asymmetrically. Now in today's unit, I want to talk about positive and negative space. My negative space is the background and my positive space is the object. You are either going to use a Sharpie or a pencil, whichever you have access or is accessible. I'm going to use a Sharpie for this section. And you want to decide, are there patterns, which areas are going to be dark, which areas are going to be white. So I've decided I'm going to block in my background, okay, with my Sharpie. And here's sort of where I got to this point. And then I want you to, before you Sharpie it, add pencil. So decide, before you add Sharpie, now again, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, where do you want those patterns? What will the patterns be? I'm doing this at random, they're all different. And I'm just sort of making this up right now as I go. Okay, there are my patterns. Once you have your patterns figured out, you want to go back in with your Sharpie and really kind of go over everything and decide what areas are going to be dark and what areas are going to be light. Use the ruler to assist you. And if you can, use a Sharpie. Try to go over there as I'm going a little fast, but I want you to kind of decide on those areas for you, what those patterns look like. Now again, I'm going a little fast. I really want you to try to take your time. Okay. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to decide, okay, I really like when my background, my negative space, becomes the positive space by making that section darker. It really kind of brings forward the shapes. So again, when you do this, try to be as neat as possible. If you are darkening in larger sections, really do it slowly because you want them to be covered completely. The neater it's done, the better your grade will be. And again, I'm going a little fast for the sake of time, but you really want to do this without rushing. Get in those little areas. And the more kind of intricate your patterns are, again, the more interesting, the more dynamic it is. So this is not meant to look like anything. Also, it kind of helps to stay in the same direction when you're creating these sections of blocked in color, or marker for that matter. Okay, now I may want to add some more lines in here. Make this a little bit more interesting. Now, I'm doing this with the Sharpie kind of off the cusp here, but I want you to make sure that you do this all in pencil before you Sharpie it. and really kind of decide okay, so I'm kind of adding in more patterns as I go. So I will block in this area dark as well. I'll leave the borders white. So again, here are some samples. So in this one, I chose to just do geometric. This I did a combination of geometric and organic. They're completely made up patterns. I have samples in my PowerPoint. Have fun with it. Think about the elements and principles of design when you are done. I always sign and date. That's my signature. I always sign and date my work so that people know who I am and they can identify. Have fun with this. Again, you are utilizing knowledge of that design principles, balance, that sense of movement that create dynamic compositions, and also the elements of composition to begin with, which is just, overlapping, having things cropped off the page, working large so that you don't have too much negative space. All these things lend themselves to creating interesting compositions. I want to see and assess how your brain divides space and how you create dynamic designs. Good luck. Email me with any questions. Have fun, be creative, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.